Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Mike Kollin at MikeKollin.com. This song is called Coalescence by Punch Deck. Okay, here's a funny thing. I just found this song on YouTube about 5 minutes ago, and I was listening to it, and within 15 seconds I knew this is the song it had to be. Okay, the volume of the song will go down in a few seconds. Now here's the deal. I just looked up the definition and it's going to blow you away. So it says definition of coalescence, the union of diverse things into one body or form or group, the growing together of parts. Coalescency, coalition, concretion, conglutination, type of conjugation, jointure, unification, union, uniting, the act of making or becoming a single unit. Sounds like atonement at one. The song has a really upbeat, it's like you're on a journey, you're moving forward, like you're moving out of the mud and you're moving towards your future, which is a lot brighter, happier, and much more prosperous. So everything I do is to unite you, is to help you to become at one with yourself. Because everything that they did to you over the years was purposely to divide you. Now this video comes from a session I did with a client yesterday, and something came up that I thought would be really empowering for all of you. So one of the things that happens to empaths or people that deal with narcissists and narcissist abuse is they do everything they can to belittle you, to limit you, and to shut you down. So they constantly put their opinions on you, about you. They do everything to keep you in lack. And also, a really important phrase is, they're trying to keep you small. So everything that I'm doing is teaching you how to step back, okay? Not out there, but come back inside you, because they're the ones that pulled you out of you, to get you to step back and step back inside into your power. So they did everything they could to keep you in lack, financial lack, to make you feel like you're not worthy, you're not good enough, or not deserving. This was not on accident. They did this on purpose. They knew what they were doing, the techniques they were using. They knew that this is what was going to happen to you. Because they wanted to keep you small. They wanted to dim your light. They wanted you to miss out on your blessings. From the happiness of life, to connecting to your spiritual powers, your spiritual skills, to enjoying life, to making great friends, a rich environment, financially rich, emotionally rich, everything rich. Essentially, they got you stuck in a box of limitation. And in that box was misery, depression, financial lack, helplessness, and on and on. My entire purpose is to set you free. There's a big phrase that I use every single video: emotional freedom. If you go back to the beginning of this video around the 20-second mark, it says emotional freedom. I put that there on purpose, so every single time you saw one of my videos, that message was sent to your brain again and again and again. This video is probably going to be the most empowering video that you've ever listened from me, because of a realization that I had yesterday. I'm going to share some stories of my life to get your unconscious mind to start seeing something in a different light, from a different perspective. They want you divided, and I want you united. See, inside you're at turmoil. I know this because I've gone through everything that you've gone through. There's like this, every time you go to do something, there's this fear, there's this doubt, there's this confusion. It's literally like you are fighting yourself. And it's exhausting. I know, because I've been there. So the reason why narcissists gaslight you is what it does, it causes you to divide against yourself. So they separate your left brain from your right brain. So now they're in conflict. And on top of that, we begin to develop these things called parts, and parts are developed from trauma. And that's what gaslighting is used for. And all the techniques that they use is they constantly put you in this panic state, this traumatic state. And they'll do some of the most horrendous things on the planet to hurt you because they're purposely trying to divide you by damaging you emotionally. So one of the things that came up in the session yesterday, she said, a part of me just wants to go do this, but another part of me, and I don't remember what she said, but she was essentially terrified. So in NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, we call this parts. There's two separate opposite parts. One wants to put on the gas, the other one wants to stop. One wants to go left, the other one wants to go right. They are literally in conflict. So in NLP, we do something called parts integration. It's a technique where we get each of the parts to go to their highest value and purpose, and to understand, well, what was my overall purpose in the very beginning of time? When they both connect with that, then they integrate. Now, also part of the stories that I tell you, I'm actually doing a bunch of reframing and I'm just not going to go into detail, but a bunch of other techniques to help your brain to start going, oh, wait a minute, okay, that makes sense. And that alone can help you to begin to get your parts to start integrating as well. That's why a lot of you, when you listen to these videos, you felt heard, you felt understand. You're like, wow, this guy actually understands what I'm going through. And on top of that, at the very end, you start to feel lighter. Like my client yesterday, she just boom, like within, I'd say 45 minutes to an hour, she laughed for the first time. And you start to feel better. It's because things are shifting inside. So let's talk about these grounding techniques that I talk about and I teach, okay? The grounding course. What happens is when you are emotionally grounded, you don't take on other people's bullshit. You don't take on their energy, and you don't take on their mental games. So what happens is when you're grounded, your energy, your electricity is flowing naturally, and this gives you clarity and awareness. See, a narcissist is trying to get you to disconnect from yourself. So when you drop your awareness down inside your body, you're plugged in, and now the electricity can flow naturally. And this is what gives you clarity. It gives you greater awareness of what's going on. So a narcissist tries to pull you up into your forehead, and he sucks the life out of you. And this makes you confused, and you ping pong. And now he can play his gaslighting games with you. But if he can't do this, what happens is you see what he's doing, and it does not affect you anymore. So essentially he's plugging into you, and he's telling you what to think, what to believe, what rules to follow, etc., etc. So what happens is these parts will have not only belief conflicts, but they'll have value conflicts and rules conflicts. And this is what narcissists do. This is gaslighting. On the one hand, they say, well, here's the rules. And then 2 days later, they flip it and say, well, no, the rules are like this. And because they make up some bullshit reason. And your initial thought is like, that doesn't make any sense. And that's the gaslighting. So how they make this happen, it's a little energetic thing where they get you up in your forehead, where they can connect with your forehead. So it's like they're in control of you. They're telling you what to believe, what to think, and they're sucking the life force energy out of you, literally. This is a narcissistic connection right here. This is bad. So I come along, and this is what I do to your energy. So I would be the female on the left. Sorry for the nudity, but it's the best picture I could find for this. So I come along and I shift your awareness into your chest and into your solar plexus, into your belly area, and look how his head is down. It causes your awareness to go back down inside your body, and now you're connected. You're plugged in, your intuition comes back, your awareness heightens, and now you can see the games that narcissists are playing. Here's the other factor. Now they are not connected to you, and now they can't manipulate you on an energetic level. So all of a sudden they can't manipulate you energetically, and they can't manipulate you with their words because you're conscious of what they're doing and what they're saying, and you're listening to yourself. So now when a narcissist does something or says something that doesn't make sense, you go inside and you do a congruency checking, like, does that make sense? And you get a bad feeling. You're like, no, that doesn't make sense. And you will even look back up at them and say to them from your core, not your forehead, but from your core, your heart and chest area, from your body. And you're going to look at them, and it comes across very powerful and very congruent. And you're going to say, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. And you'll see this, their eyes pop open like, oh shit. They're not listening to me anymore. They're listening to themselves. And this is what we call taking the narcissist mask off, like the narcissist mask fell. You suddenly look at them, go, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. You're full of shit. And thus, they've been revealed. Whereas before, you would go inside and be like, wait, that doesn't make sense. And then you'd be like, oh, and then you would doubt yourself, and then you would just believe the narcissist because they're talking. Oh, no, this makes sense. It does. They're bullshitting you. So this is how a narcissist disconnects you and gets you to connect to them. Okay? This is how you get disempowered. I come along and I do this. I redirect your own energy back inside you. And this is the most empowering feeling you will ever have. You'll be grounded, you'll be calm, and you'll have clarity. And you'll be able to think for yourself without any conflict at all. And this is how two healthy adult human beings interact together. You are in your own bubble. You are in your own energetic space. Your awareness drops down inside and it expands above and around you. This is a healthy form of relationship. Even just communicating with someone that you meet on the street. This is the healthy way to interact with human beings. And this is the way it should be right here. When I talk about being emotionally grounded and the emotionally grounded and internal awareness class, this is what I'm talking about. I do this in small groups. I also do this in one-on-one coaching. Empower yourself, and thus you disempower the narcissist. It's a series of techniques and different things that you can do to reconnect with yourself. So one of the things she said yesterday as well, my client, is all clients do. In one session, she shifted. One thing she said also during the session is like, I was seeing this other therapist and I realized it was just nothing. It was just talk therapy. Like, oh, so you have hurt emotions. Oh, okay. She said there was nothing like what we're doing right now. All right, part 2. Let me share some stories, some stuff that came up that allowed her to see something in a different light, because there's something that narcissists do to you to completely and totally get you to give up your power. So when I was a little kid, we moved to Wisconsin for a few years. Absolutely freezing cold, unbelievable snow. It's insane. Like, when you hear about your grandparents or your parents' stories of we had to walk uphill in 5 feet of snow. Yes, that was Wisconsin. Literally, and I'm not kidding, easily 2 feet of snow to 2.5 feet of snow. I mean, we'd almost go up to our hips and we'd have to step in and pull our leg out. It was really, really hard. So here's the deal. A couple of my friends, I think we were in 3rd grade if I remember right, 3rd or 4th grade. Well, 2 of my friends had money. I'm like, where are you getting all this money from? They're like, oh, well, we got a paper route. I'm like, a paper route? What's that? They're like, well, you can go down to the paper route place on such and such street and you can get a job where you deliver papers. I was like, really? Oh, cool. So they didn't have any openings, and then what happened is Corey, and it's so funny, I remember these guys' names, they were little kids. Corey and Jimmy both quit their paper routes. So I got one of the paper routes, and one of the paper, I think Corey had it. It was like the easiest one of all, right? So I didn't get that one right away. I got this other one, which I hated. It was in the morning, and it was long. Everything was spaced out. So anyways, eventually about 2 months later, they're like, hey, do you want this other paper? I was like, yeah, sure. So I got this really cool paper out, and it was awesome. It was only 28 papers. It was easy. It was a light load, a fairly light load, and it was right around my home. So I delivered it, and boom, I was home. All of a sudden, I got spending money, and let me tell you, it felt good. Life was good. And the thing about it is, it actually paid really well. I was kind of surprised. For 28 papers, I'm getting paid this much. Wow. And then on top of it, the neighbors, they tipped very well too. So then I got switched over to another paper route, which was the college dorms. It was a small liberal college, and these guys were really cool, and they tipped really, really well. Again, it was about 28 papers. So that was fun because it was inside, and I didn't have to get out in the rain and the cold. And if it was winter, I could go inside, and it was always hot inside. So it was like the best paper out of them all. So it was easy, light. It was close to my home and also the paper out office. So life was good and life was fun. And then what happened was we got a new manager. So it went from this lady that was in her 50s to this who was very kind, just a good person, to this young guy who was about 26 years old. And things shifted. So next thing you know, he had me go back to the other two paper routes. So now I've got a morning paper route and 2 afternoon paper routes. And I'm thinking, well, I'm going to make a lot of money. And it's not that hard. I just got to push myself a little bit harder and get up early in the morning. Well, after about 2 or 3 months, I'm like, hey, where's my money? So he changed it to where instead of us collecting, the money was sent to the office. And all of a sudden, I was making less money doing 3 paper routes than when I was doing just the one, either of the one paper routes at a time for 28 papers or so. So now I've got 3 paper routes. I'm delivering about 100 papers total because the other 2 were bigger than the college one. So I'm doing about 100, maybe 95, and then he added on a 4th one where I had to deliver over 65 papers on that one alone. Well, my Uncle Don had to make me this big square box thing, this metal, sheet metal thing, and put wheels on it to connect to the back of my BMX bike. And all I was doing was getting up in the morning at about 4 in the morning, I kid you not. And even when it was negative 40, 50 degrees below zero, I was having to do 2 long paper routes in the morning. And then after school, it'd be freezing cold or raining, and I'd have to do that. And on top of it, I'm still making less than when I had just the one paper route. So I went to the old manager because I knew where she lived, because I knew her son, and complained. She's like, Michael, there's nothing I can do. You have to go talk to the manager. She goes, I don't work for the company anymore. Well, she didn't know that this guy was a manipulative bastard. And what ended up happening was I went to him and he just did a bunch of gaslighting, a bunch of this. Oh, Michael, that's not true. You weren't making that much money, blah, blah, blah. And I think on top of it, he was having them send the tips to him too. So now I'm not getting the tips. So I'm crying to my mom. I'm like, Mom, it's too much work. I'm not getting paid. And my mom, she's another narcissist. She didn't give a, she just laughed. She enjoyed it that her son was being treated like a slave. And that's exactly what narcissists do. They make you feel like you're a slave, like you don't deserve to make money. So after about 1.5 years of doing this, I was just burned out. And what happened was the old manager, a lot of the paper route people that knew her went to her and complained, and she realized there was a problem. So she ended up going to the Milwaukee Journal office and saying, hey, here's what's going on. They looked into it like, oh, this kid was stealing all the money from everyone's paper routes. But the damage was done. I already felt like it's like you work so hard and you're getting paid nothing, and they make you feel like this is all you deserve. From that point forward, every job that I ever had, they nickeled and dimed me, made me work overtime, and just made me bust my ass and paid me damn near nothing. And you fall for it, because a lot of time, not every job, there was one job that actually paid me really well. But what ended up happening is a lot of these people are narcissists, and they can see it like, oh, you've already been conditioned, you've already been brainwashed, and they do the same thing to you. essentially you're being brainwashed to number one, have this belief like, well, this is all I deserve, and you feel, and on top of it, you feel bad about getting paid the very minimum you're getting paid anyways. And on top of it, they make you feel like you have no rights to fight for yourself. You have no, in fact, that's almost like that thought is erased from your brain. Here's what it is. You learn not, N-O-T, not to stand up for yourself. And when you have that Wizard of Oz moment, when you get to the end of the yellow brick road, you realize it's just a tiny little old fat man who can't barely walk. And Dorothy looks at him and goes, "You've been doing this the whole time with those loudspeakers and that microphone? It's all an act." You can do what you want as long as you stand up for yourself. Stand up to me, stand up to everyone. The world is yours as long as you stand. You can do whatever you want as long as you stand up for yourself. Period. End of sentence. This is what it was always all about. Now, I started being a boxer when I was a little kid, about 9, 10, 11 years old. I was state champion of boxing, etc., etc. So fighting back was really kind of built into me, but I really didn't do it unless I got pushed to the max limit. And that's what happened with my last narcissist. I was like, oh, when I realized, like, oh, he's doing this on purpose. Oh, game fucking on. And then I turned into the monster and I attacked him. It confuses the hell out of them. They don't know what to do, and it scares the living shit out of them. And they start to backpedal. So when you start to step inside that technique where I bring your energy back inside you, and you start to listen to yourself, and you look at them like, no, that doesn't make any sense. The minute you do that, they're going, oh shit, I just lost control. And they're already in a panic. What they're going to do, they're going to freeze and kind of, and look at you from, and inside they're fucking panicking. Now here's the difference. Remember, narcissists are operating off the lower predator brain, the reptilian brain. When you go on the attack and hunt them, it flips the tables on them like, wait, what's going on here? And they'll reevaluate everything they thought about you and go, oh shit, I'm in trouble. I misunderstood. I thought this was a mouse, but this is a 500-pound lion. So someone sent this to me a while back. Said there's a scene where the guy is shouting at the monsters and then the monsters walked away. So my theory is that the monsters like fear and not anger because they enjoy fear. In other words, when you get angry at them, all of a sudden they're going, oh shit, I'm in trouble. Trust me, being the aggressor when it comes to a narcissist is the correct thing to do. Okay, this is part 3. This is something I learned in argument and debate class. One thing we learned from narcissists is we get conditioned into feeling like we're nothing. So this is wrapping all the way back to the beginning of this video. They make you feel like you're unworthy, you don't deserve anything. They condition you to believe or to be small, like you don't deserve anything. And that's really what it is right there. This is my former kickboxing and boxing coach, Jacob Stitz Duran, probably the best cut man ever in the mixed martial arts and boxing, kickboxing world. He was just inducted into the not only the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame, but also the Boxing Hall of Fame of the world. 2 different inductions that just happened. Does he look like he's playing it small? No, he went for it. He literally went to the top. He kept saying, oh, he goes, I'm going to the top, Mikey, I'm going to the top. And he would say it to all of us. Another thing, and the funny thing is we knew it, like we could see it, like something about this guy. It's because he had a direction and he went for it. And he did not play small. There's something that he did for me, and I didn't really understand until about 5 years ago. He would always say, you're awesome, Mikey, you're awesome, you're awesome. And I remember in the beginning, I was just like, no, I'm not. He says, Mikey, you are. And you know, I almost even felt guilty, like I was unworthy of it when he kept saying that to me. But because I was with him for about 7.5 years, it actually sunk in. I say it to myself all the time now. And if someone gets mad about that, I know right away that's a narcissist. Now someone say, man, that was really cool what you did. It's like, yep, that's because I'm awesome. Or I'll say, I know, right? I'm awesome. I am telling you, if they get pissed off at that, well, who do you think you are? It's like, what's your problem? I didn't say you were a loser. I didn't say you're a bad person. I said nothing negative. I didn't attack you. Like, so why are you being so aggressive towards me? The minute someone gets negative about me saying that I'm awesome, I know right away that is a narcissist. Boom, they just revealed themselves. Okay, so part 3. So I don't like to negotiate. I don't like argument and debate, etc., etc. I can't stand to argue, and I won't do it. So here's what happened. I took speech 1 because it was a requirement for college. You had to take it. So I said, F it, I'm going to get it over with and do it. And I did very well. The very last 5 weeks, we had to do some argument and debate competitions at the end of the week. And I won all of them. So what happened was, towards the very last week, my teacher says, hey, Michael, you know, the argument debate team needs another person, and I want you to join the team. I'm like, I don't know, no. She was, think about it. And then what happened was she ran into me in the hallways of the college because I was looking for certain classes in between semesters, like the week before you buy your books and all that stuff. And she was, Michael, are you going to join the team or not? I need to know. I'm like, no. I don't like to argue. I don't want to argue. She says, no, you're going to join the team. Blah 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 blah. And I said, yeah, but I don't like to argue. And I forget what I said. And then she kind of did a reframe, and I went, oh really? She goes, yeah. So I ended up joining the team. Oh, I know what it was. I said, I don't like to argue. She goes, oh, well, then you really need to join the team. I'm like, what? She goes, if you don't like to argue, you need to learn what the people are doing that bring you into arguments so you can get out of them. I'm like, oh, okay. So all of a sudden, she took something I hated and turned it into an empowering thing, and it actually worked out very well. Okay, so this client that I work with, she's essentially, again, we were made to feel small. There's a reason why I keep bringing this back. So she's about to go through a divorce. She's going to get a lawyer. She's terrified. She doesn't know what to do. And she literally told the guy, look, all I want is my daughter. You can have the home. You can have the businesses. You can have everything. I don't want nothing. Just leave me alone. And I'm like, no. From an empath's perspective, you'd think, yeah, that's a really good thing because then they're going to take it. No. They're not going to take it because narcissists are very left brain, and left brain is push energy. That's male energy. Okay? So the way that they communicate, talk, deal with things is push. And if there's no pushback, then they're just like, well, I didn't get anything. And you're like, what are you talking about? You got everything. I gave you the house, the keys, the cars, the businesses, everything. They're not going to see. The left brain has to feel like it won, like it got a victory. I said, by you doing that, you not only did you give everything up, now he's going to come after your child. So until he feels like there was a competition and we both pushed each other around, until he has that physical, energetic experience, he's not going to feel like he got anything out of it. And you're like, wait a minute, he's going to feel like he got 0, even though you literally gave him 100% of the money, the house, cars, kids, everything. They're going to have to come after you for something because they have to feel like they battled it out. So what you want to do is you want to go for everything. And I'm going to teach you or explain what happened to me in the argument and debate that taught me this. And also, it's something I learned from energy healing. If I didn't learn this from energy healing and recognizing energy, I wouldn't even be able to understand it myself, let alone be able to teach it to you right now. So one piece is male energy, which narcissists are. They're very, very, very left brain. Okay, so it's push, and it's victory. I have to beat you. Or I have to get something out of this, even if it's only having a competition. See, to them, everything is a competition. That's left brain thinking. See, without the competition, without the battle, they don't feel like anything happened. So they're like, well, I got to fight for something. Then they're going to start looking for something else. And like, wait a minute, you just gave everything up. You started negotiating at 0. No, you're supposed to negotiate starting at 100. See, without the competition, they feel like you owe them something, okay? And it's a really weird thing. You're thinking, but I just gave them everything. But not on an energetic, emotional level. They don't feel that. They feel that they got 0, and it's going to piss them off. In other words, there's no completion. Their circuit, their cycle never completed. It's like, hey, we're supposed to do A, B, C, D all the way to Z, and we didn't even start at A yet, so come on, let's get this going. It's like you wrote a song, produced a song, recorded the song, but you never played the song. Alright, I'm just going to say it. It's literally like you never had sex, and then you never had an orgasm. So literally it's like something's missing, like there's no completion. By the way, this is my coach, and this is the World Boxing Hall of Fame. The first one was Nevada. So here's what I learned. So my teacher convinced me to do this competition. It was the day before. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to join the team. She convinces me to do it, and she goes, oh, well, it starts tomorrow. I'm like, what? Because I thought I'd have a little bit of time to kind of weasel my way out of it, because I really didn't want to do it. I don't like to argue. And so now here's the funny part, though. I'm really, really good at it. So here's what happened. I showed up the next morning, and it was early. I think it started at 8, and we had to be there at like 7 or 7:30 to sign in, okay? So I had to get up at least at 6 o'clock, drive, not too far. It was actually fairly close, about 15 minutes away. And I signed in, and here's the deal. She never told me how to do it. She never told me what the rules are. She never said, oh, well, here's the game and this is the rules. They never taught me shit. So next you know, I'm signing in, I'm waiting around, and I'm just thinking like, I assumed we were going to have like a pre-meeting thing and they were going to explain the rules. Oh, no. They said, okay, here you go. So-and-so and so-and-so, you guys sit at this table. There's like about 10 or 12 tables in a big round circle. And you went from one table to another. One guy would just sit there. In fact, I was the guy who sat at my table. And then the other side, they would shift to table after each competition. So we got sat at the tables. And again, I'm thinking, well, before we start, they're going to explain the rules. And they're like, okay, blah, blah, blah. They gave some very basic rules. I think that the time limit is 5 minutes and blah, blah, blah. And you're going to be given a paper and you're going to go. So I'm like, well, when are we going to go over the rules? They're like, you don't know the rules? I'm like, no. So I looked at my teacher like, hey, like, what am I supposed to do here? She goes, well, you just negotiate. I'm like, negotiate what? What are you talking about? And so someone went around and put a paper down for each table. And essentially one of you would be the one who has the money, and the other one had something like maybe corn or something that you were going to sell, right? Or tractors or whatever. And you had to negotiate. And so I literally had no idea what was the goal, what was the end result, like what were we trying, I didn't know. So what happened was, I do remember them saying, when they're saying the time limit, because apparently the time limit can change at different competitions. I think this one you had like 3 minutes or 5 minutes, right, to come to an agreement. And the rule was this: you had to both sign your own piece of paper agreeing on the same amount. And if you didn't do it by the time the buzzer went off, you both got 0 points. So I was like, huh, okay. And so then what happened was the guy, okay, because I blurted out that I never did this before, I don't know what the rules are, everybody in the room looked at me like, oh, you're like the number one target. I'm going to get my most points off of you. So what happened was the guy goes, okay, here's what I want. I want 100% of everything you have, and I'm going to give you 0. I was like, what? That doesn't even make any sense. Like, where in the world do you go and you buy something and you don't pay for it? I go, no, dude, that's bullshit. So at least I had this common sense. And he goes, no, because I'm telling you, I'm not going to sign. I'm like, fine, then I'm not going to sign either. I don't give a shit. Now, I was actually intimidated. I was scared, and I just wanted to go home. I did not want to be there. So because I suddenly stopped, like, no, I'm not going to do this, his teacher came up and said, look, if you don't sign this, you're going to get 0 points. It's better to get 1 point than nothing. So it was 1 point to 10 points that you could get total. And what I learned from her was, if we met in the middle, he got 5 points and I got 5 points. So that would be 50-50. So I'm literally learning in the middle of a competition. So then I think he said, okay, I'll tell you what, I'll give you 1. And I don't know, 1 might have been $100. So let's say he had $1,000. If I got all of his money, I got 10 points. So whatever it was, let's say it was 1,000. I don't know what it was. He goes, I tell you what, I'll give you 100, which would mean I got 1 point and he would get 9. I was like, no, dude, that's not fucking fair. Screw you. He goes, well, all right, I tell you, I'll give you 8 or 2 points or, 200, and that way he would get 8, I would get 2. I was like, no, screw that. I'll go, you know what, I'm not doing this. Because one thing I realized, the teacher had said, if you get 0 points, you're going to lose and you're going to be out of the tournament. And I'm thinking, oh, really? Oh, cool. Fuck this. I don't want to be here. And I said that out loud, and the kid looked at me. He's like, what? No, you got to sign it. And I'm like, no, I don't. And I go, I don't want to be here. I want to lose. But I didn't quite put together. They did say it, but then he was making his point like, look, dude, I can't get any points if you don't sign. You have to sign. See, if we both don't sign, neither of us gets points. So then I was like, I got it. So then I go, I tell you what, I'll make you a deal. I'll give you 1 and you give me 9. He's like, no, that's not fair. So I was so pissed because the guy was obviously being disrespectful to me and taking advantage of me and trying to really like rip me off. I did not give a shit. It's like, no, that's the deal. Take it or leave it. I'm telling you right now, if you don't take 1 point, you're going to get 0. Now, this kid wanted to win. I didn't. I didn't even want to be here. And thus, I found my edge. That kid was freaked out. They're like, okay, 15 seconds to go. And I looked at him, I'm like, dude, we have to have it physically. I go, if you don't sign, I'm not signing. And he goes, all right, fine. He signed it. And I signed mine. We had to flip pages and sign it. We barely made it by like 2 seconds. And I'm the only one in the room with 9 points. So literally not giving a shit is your power. I did the same thing in football, boxing, and kickboxing. I literally would not stop. You would have to break my legs. I'm serious. This is literally what I tell people. Like, look, the only way I'm coming off of that field is if you break my legs or break my back or break my neck. Other than that, I'm not coming off that damn field, and I'm going to take your head off. I did not care. See, it gives you advantage because you don't hold back. Like, I didn't give a shit. I really did not care. You were going to have to literally kill me in order to beat me. Otherwise, you're going to suffer. In other words, my foot was on the gas pedal 100%. It was not on the brakes. And that's the difference between those who do and those who don't. Take your foot off the brake and put it on the gas pedal and go. So here we are in the tournament, and now they had to shift one table, okay? Because I just happened to be the side of the table that was chosen to stay, and the other side they had to shift one table, so it went round in a circle. So the next guy came up, and he did the same damn thing. He knew I was the new guy. He heard me say that thing out loud. I don't know how to play the game. I don't know what I'm doing. And he goes, okay, I tell you what, I'm going to give you 1 point, and that's it. Screw you, blah, blah, blah. He was this cocky, arrogant dick, and I looked at him and go, I'm not going to sign. He goes, wait, what? You have to. No, I don't. I'm not going to sign. I don't care. And so what happened was he starts complaining to his teacher, and she comes over, hey, you counted. And I looked at our teacher and go, is she allowed to interrupt and get involved in a negotiation to help him? And she goes, no, that's against the rules. You guys can get disqualified for that. And the teacher immediately walked out. See, before I never would have spoke up for myself, but because these people were being such dickheads to me, my respect for teachers, professors, the rules went out the fucking window, and because of that, I won. So I did it to the next guy, and I flat out told him, go, look, dude, I'm telling you right now, I don't care. This is what I said. I said, this is my first time doing a tournament. My teacher convinced me to do it. I don't want to be here. I don't care if we get 0 points. So I gave everybody 1 point. That's all I gave everybody, and I won the tournament by far. In fact, nobody has ever won a tournament by that many points. I was the first person to ever do it. So the last group, and it was a group of narcissists, they were paying me all kinds of money for my business, for my courses, etc. And when I started realizing they were doing this narcissistic shit and what they were doing, I was like, I'm done. They're like, wait, no, but we'll pay you this much money. I said, I don't care. I'm done, and I walked away. I will never go through nightmares like that because of money. It's not worth it. And here's the deal. It gives you your freedom, and your freedom is what allows you to win. Okay, so here's what happens now. This is going to seem like a reverse, but it's really not. You have to understand the narcissist mentality. They have to win. Or you have to let them believe that they won. Watch this. So in this situation, this client of mine, she was basically saying, look, I just want my kid. You can have the house, the businesses, the money, everything. I just want to go. Just leave us alone. And I'm like, no. You're see, it's not reverse. Okay. She was operating from 0, whereas I was operating from 100. In other words, I was like, hey, I don't care if I lose, which gave me 100% of the power. So all of a sudden, these guys did care if they lost. Okay, do you get it? So they're like, whoa, no, you can't do that. I'm like, I don't care. We're both going to get 0 points. I was operating off of full power because everybody in that room, their ego wanted to win so badly. They basically wanted first, second, or third. And if they got 0 points, even at one table, that meant there was no chance that they were even going to place. And because of saying, I don't care if we both get zeros, I was arguing from a place of absolute power. So I explained to these guys, look, I'm doing this to every single person, so you guys are all going to be on an even playing ground, so you're all going to get second or third place, so you have a chance for that. I go, but if you get 0 points, you won't get any place. So I was arguing, see, it sounds like 0, but I was arguing from 100, from 10 points, from the top. And I'm like, okay, I'll give you 1. And then they're like, oh, okay. In the last 10 seconds, they would sign. Arguing from 0 would have been giving them 9 points and I got 1, because that's what they wanted to do. In fact, essentially, the first guy's like, no, I'll take all, you get 0. And I was like, screw that. So what I had to help her understand is this, is you have to go for everything. You've got to go for the whole house, and that you want all the businesses, and you want all the money in the bank accounts and the savings account, etc. And you want alimony and child support for 18 years. And she's like, oh, he'll never go for that. I go, he's not going to go for it. But now all of a sudden, you're operating from 10, and he's going to try to get 2 or 3 or 4 points. Okay, so now instead of him getting 90% and even 100%, now he's fighting for about 30% or 40%, or if he's lucky, 50%. And if he gets 30, 40%, he's going to feel like he completely won. Whereas before, you're willing to get 0 of anything, and now you're getting 50 or 60% of everything, which was equivalent of me giving them 1 out of 10. So what if they get 2 or 3 or 4 out of 10? You still win. And the real goal and the real purpose is to keep your child and to get this guy out of your life for good. And on top of it, it's all cherry and icing on top of the cake. You get extra money, you get child support for 18 years, you get this, you get that. Everything's gravy after that. So to wrap this up, the main purpose of this was to help you to understand, like, if you give them everything right off the bat, they didn't have an emotional, physical feeling of a battle, and therefore they're like, well, shit, I didn't get anything out of this. And you're like, wait a minute, I gave you everything. Logically, they might understand that, but on a deeper, like, on their predator brain, it's almost like they never went on the hunt, they never stalked the prey, and they never went after it and caught it and killed it and ate it. They have to have that experience. So now instead of you giving them everything, and they're still going, well, fuck, I don't got nothing, then they're going to go after anything, including your freedom, your child, anything. And they're going to feel like they're in the right, like they're righteous, that, hey, well, I didn't get anything. You're like, what? I gave, even your friends, your family, their friends, I'm like, what are you talking about? You got the house, you got the kids, you got the car, you got the money, you got the business. Like, what are you talking about? You got everything, but they don't feel it on a physical level. So that hunter system that they have, that predatorial system, needs to complete its circuit. Once it completes its circuit, it will move on. So let them fight for the scraps. And then when they win some scraps, they feel complete. They had the battle, and then they walk on. And you get everything, including your emotional freedom. I am a goddamn genius. And I am awesome. I highly suggest you start saying that to yourself. Oh, and by the way, the teacher, the professor, Janine Whitesell, she looked at me and she just said, "You're a genius." So we went up against Stanford, Berkeley, UC Davis, Sac State, and I forget whatever school in other tournaments, and I won every tournament. Hey, this is Mike Kollin. If you want to be awesome, click that subscribe button, click the like button, make a comment. And if you want, go ahead and make a donation. There's a PayPal link right there in the description box. And if you really do want to take steps to become awesome, sign up for one-on-one coaching, buy my book Cracked Female Code, buy the women's book Why Men Just Don't Get It, and or show up at one of the internal awareness and emotional grounding classes. God bless you guys. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.